and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Money with Friends. Happy New Year! Happy New Year 2024. I'm excited. Are you excited? It's only been
Yeah.
what, 3 days since the new year? I know so many
Uh-huh.
of you are thinking seriously about changing your lives, changing situations that you didn't like last year. And that's why tonight we're here to talk about resolutions, how important it is to keep them, and what you can do to commit to your resolutions. And of course, tonight we're gonna try something new. We're gonna be answering questions about some specific financial product because we noticed that sometimes after the show we have friends and followers of the show who are calling us and asking us questions offline. And tonight we're gonna be responding one question that is from one of our viewers. So please stay tuned. Tell your friends, tag, share, make a comment. Let them know that Let's Talk Money with Friends is on live every Wednesday. And this is our first show of the year. We want to thank you for supporting us throughout. We've been on for 3 years now. You've been supporting us, and we are grateful for that. So, without further ado, I would like to welcome my friends who are on tonight. And I believe they're all returning friends. They've been on the show before. And so, to get started, I'll give Dr. Carey an opportunity to say hello, and then we'll go with Vaughn and then Gael. Hi, Dr. Carey. How are you doing
Hi.
tonight?
Great. So, yeah, I'm Dr. Carrie Occasion. I just started a new job as the Director of Global Programs for the Clubhouse Network based in Roxbury, Massachusetts. But we are international and in 21 countries. And so my last job was for Massachusetts, but now I get to make a bigger impact and footprint. So I'm really excited and I'm excited to be here. So thank you so much.
Yes, I'm excited that you're here. And this is a great topic for all of us tonight. New Year's resolutions are hard to keep, but definitely tonight, Vaughn and Gael's going to tell us how to do that. Vaughn, say hello, please.
Hello, everybody. Pleasure to be here. My name is Vonel Lamore, and I am a creative director at WPL Marketing, and we focus on helping small businesses and organizations with their online presence. Um, so I'm definitely happy to be here and speak about New Year's, 3 days in. So
Yeah,
definitely a great time to talk about this.
definitely. Thank you. And Gael, please.
Hi, my name is Gael. I'm the CEO of Positech, an audit consulting firm where we help organizations increase their maturity level in terms of cybersecurity. I'm very happy to be here.
Yes. And when was it? Last week, the end of the year, your spouse, Barbara, was on the show with us. Thank you so much for showing up tonight. Yeah, New Year's resolutions. Many times you Google New Year's resolutions and you've seen so many different types of different descriptions or explanation for that. So yeah, Dr. Carey, could you tell us a little bit about what are New Year's resolutions and why do so many make them at the beginning of the year?
I mean, so people resolve to do something each year, probably because, one, it's like it's a great time for marketing, great time for businesses to, and Vaughn would know a lot about that. But also, it's a new year and it's like another chance to make goals towards your life, right? You're thinking back and looking back and wanting to improve. So, I mean, last year, I lost quite a bit of weight and I'm still going, and I wasn't as specific as I wanted to be last year. So that's like one strategy that I'll give is being specific in your goal and not just saying, I want to lose weight, but like how much and like consider kind of month by month. But also, you know, be appreciative of your success. You don't have to like lose 20 pounds a month. And then I have one more strategy. My birthday is February 1st. And
Mhm.
so I do this thing called Carry New Year. So if you need a little bit of extra time to not start your resolutions right away, you can take a little bit of time and reflect on what you want to do before you start. You can commit on my birthday, February 1st. So that's another tactic. So
That's for you, February 1st. Mine
yeah,
is in August. If I wait until August,
I know, right?
it'll be over. Because this one,
Likewise.
I know I was talking to you before we got on, Vaughn, and you were like, "Oh, Gabrielle, how you doing today?" And I was like, "Oh gosh, it's only the third day of the year," but I mean, like the commitment again, last week, we talked about It's a Wonderful Life, You Matter. And we've been talking about planning since the end of last year. What type of is it important to be committed? Like, I mean, like the truth of the matter is today, I didn't feel like going to the gym. I did not feel like doing anything. But again, because I have a written commitment, I had to. So how important is that written commitment to that resolution? Because again, your resolution and commitment matter.
Yeah, so I 100% agree. Writing it down, I mean, I think any place you Google or any self-help coach, any book will tell you it all starts with the written part because there's just some weird connection between the brain and writing things down. And yes, you can type it. We all have smartphones, but the exercise of physically writing that down and listing those things out, for some reason, it just clicks into our, the frequencies in our brain and makes us do things. So I definitely agree with the writing it down. I think the biggest part about it too is really the mindset. So right after you sort of write it down, I think it's about how you would think about it. As Dr. Carey pointed out, the first, I think, week or month in January is probably the biggest day for all gyms and all sort of new signups for everything. But then come, February, March, as things start to wind down, the numbers go down, and then we see who's actually committed to it. So for me, and I think we've all made goals or plans that we just didn't follow through with for many reasons, right? It could be discipline, could be distractions, life happens. So for me, I've had to do some extreme things to actually commit. I'm not as disciplined as most people might be. I actually require a lot of work to change my habits. So for me, it's been number one, not just writing out what you're going to do, but writing it down as if it already happened. So already, and I literally did this exercise with a few people, like pretend this is actually 2025 as opposed to 24. And you look back at 24 and say, what did I get accomplished? So I have lost 20 pounds. I have saved up 5,000. And it needs to be specific and so there's something about writing down what you've already done. You almost psych your brain out to feel like it already happened. And then you live it out backwards. So, and I'll let Gael speak, but he's the engineer. And so he understands engineering but it's like a reverse engineering thing, right?
Yeah.
But the other extreme part, and I won't take too much more time to just quickly explain this part because this is very important and a lot of people don't do it for many reasons. You literally have to change your environment and change the people around you. You got to change the things you look at, the things you read, and specifically the people and the places that are just around you. And so that could be from a therapist, and that doesn't mean you're going crazy, doesn't mean you have a crisis, doesn't mean you're stupid, slow, or whatever. We all need therapy. We all need someone to talk to. And that can come in the form of licensed therapists, coaching, somebody older, some form of somebody who just has information to sort of pour into us. That to me is a no-brainer, and I won't even debate that. That's just, you need somebody in your life or people if you can. I've gone as far as hiring, not just people that I have, but it's like, corporations have boards, right? Boards of directors. You can create a personal board of your own. It could be uncle, different people who have different skills. If you know someone's good with money, put it on your board. If you have somebody who's good with, everyone has someone who's good at something that
I like that.
Create a little board of directors, right? The Gabriel board of directors, Dr. Carey's board of directors, and you're the CEO of yourself. Yeah, for your life.
Yeah.
For your life.
I like it. I really
and
like
these people, they serve as not just information and telling you what to do, but they hold you accountable. So these things that you wrote down to say that, okay, this is what I want to happen in 2025. If you have Uncle, Tonton Pierre saying, remember that thing that you said you're a little more likely to do it than just yourself going to a gym and, because there's no one who's going to hold you accountable. And then the other thing, you may say, you know what, I don't want people in my business, which to me is the easiest way to get things done because people are in your business and now it's not just yourself. You want to, we normally take care of other people before we take care of ourselves, right? We go to our job, we work for our job, we help the people in our organization. But for us, we normally put ourselves last. So the last thing I'll just say too, a little hack is, if you're familiar with Fiverr or Upwork, there's a global economy where people work for a lot less than we do, right? So if you have, I know money's tight nowadays, but $3 an hour, $4 an hour for a couple hours a week to pay somebody just to hold you accountable. You meet with them maybe once a week for a couple hours and you tell them, listen, I'm going to give you a list of things that I want done. Your only job is to make sure I did them. So when you meet with someone face to face like this, it becomes almost embarrassing to meet with someone and not have your stuff done, right? It's like going to class and not doing your homework. So if you have someone that you pay literally $5, whatever small amount, just to hold you accountable for those things. They work for you, but technically it's like you're working for them to say, yes, I did this. No, I didn't. And
yeah,
that's all I have to say
so
for now.
you say in essence, Vaughn, it makes sense. Let's say you are someone who doesn't have a trainer, but you would like to have accountability and you would like to have a friend going to the gym with you. I was thinking about that with someone that I know in the family who's not as motivated as some of us in so many ways in terms of going to the gym. And I was thinking, maybe this person needs to pay for somebody else's gym membership. It's only $30, $40 a month. That other person that you're paying the gym membership for is actually it's gonna be worth it, because if they're
100%.
willing to go with you and they're willing to support you, they're gonna keep you going and be committed to that goal. So Gael, I know we were talking offline. You said that, I just started my own firm and my own consulting firm as cyber professional. Yeah, I mean, was that one of your resolutions that you had the year before and you had to make it happen last year?
Well, not at all. Because the thing is, people use January 1st like as a reset date or to jump onto the bandwagon where everybody is, because it's a new year, a new calendar, but it's just an excuse to establish your goal. You can actually establish goal anytime during the year. It's your goal and you decide when do you want to start it. It doesn't have to be a thing of January 1st. And even if you write it down, let's say you write it down on a post-it, you put it next to your screen or next to your desk, it's just to trick your brain to remind you that you have to do that. But if you don't actually have the discipline to follow through, to make sure you put action into place to make this goal come true, then it doesn't matter if every year you have 5 goals that you want to do for the year. Next year you will have the same goal. So I just want people to understand that even in the middle of March, in the middle of the summer, in November, you can still decide for the next 30 months, I'm gonna eat healthy. For the next 15 days, I'm gonna go to the gym at least 3 days a week. You don't have to wait for January 1st. And as for my business, it's something I've always wanted to do, but it's not a New Year resolution thing. I just think at this point of my career, I've been working in the IT field for at least 10 years, and now I believe I have enough expertise to launch my own consulting firm. And last year, I actually decided to create a business. And this year, at some point during the year, I'm gonna make an official reveal and launch. So I want people to understand that, yes, you can jump, like I said, on the bandwagon of the January 1st, but don't think that, if you miss January or you have to do it during this time. It's just a calendar that is resetting. So you can actually set up goals for yourself at any time during the year, as long as these goals are smart. And by smart, I mean specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, which means basically the goal is not like, I want to become wealthy. What does wealthy mean? Does it mean 10 million? Does it mean 20 million? Does it mean 1 trillion? what's the level of wealth that you want to have? Do you just need to have a 6-month emergency fund? That can be a goal. What does I want to be rich? What does that mean to be rich? Do you want to have a penthouse, a townhouse with a pool, or without a pool, with a garage, or without a garage? What it needs to be specific, because if you just put in place a vague goal, then you won't be able to measure it. Because if you want to, for instance, lose weight, if you don't measure yourself, or you don't weigh yourself every 2 days or every week to see your progress, how many pounds you are losing, then you don't keep track of the progress. You have no accountability. Then it's gonna be more difficult to achieve the specific goal, because it's not realistic. You just said, "Oh, I want to lose weight." How much weight do you want to lose?
I know. Let me tell you, I really appreciate what you're saying, because I know for me, I love the fact that Gael just mentioned that you shouldn't wait until the beginning of the year. But although, we know it's such a very popular time, just like Vaughn was saying, like, everybody's signing up for their membership. And I know I took a family member to the doctors and like, go to the gym. So I had to go and get that done for her. But, at the end of the day, you don't have to wait really, because, I think it was like December, the beginning of December, I was talking to a neighbor and she said, I'm learning a new language. And I was like, really? What are you learning? She's like, well, my son just learned how to speak Portuguese, and he's on his way to live. He's about to go move to Brazil for a year to practice. And I was like, how did he do that? Well, that organization, there's a software or like an app that you can use. I'm not gonna say the name here, but it's an app that you could use. And she sent the link to me. And I was like, oh, okay. I know I've always wanted to be fluent in Spanish. And I've been, in school, I took classes here and there, but I never really haven't mastered the language, because I never really been committed to learning it, because you can learn anything if you're committed to it. So since December 1st, I did the entire month. Every single day I did my lessons. And guess what? Sí, yo hablo español.
Nice.
Muy bien. I've learned so much. And even with the accountability, the application tells you how you're doing. They give you feedback as to your progress, and it's really encouraging me. And I'm like, almost like every day, first thing I do in the morning, I do that, and the last thing I do at night, I do it, because I want to be fluent. But I was gonna do it for this year, and I'm like, let's not wait for January 1st. Let's start now. The time is always now. So let me know, Ms. Dr. Carey, what are some of the successful New Year's resolutions? I know you just talked about your weight. What are some other successful New Year's resolution you had in the past? And how did you get it done?
Yeah, so one of them, and I guess I wasn't as specific and measurable and accountable last year. But I really wanted a new job. I had been looking for a while, and I think sometimes as you get older, it's even harder to find jobs because you're so specialized. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's difficult. But that was something that I really wanted to do, and I didn't have necessarily like a strategy around it, but I did know from just being my background being in career development, it was like talk to as many people as you can. So I would go on, Gabrielle's show and even meet some of the people and just really kind of develop that voice and figure out what I wanted to do. So it was super helpful. And then just reaching out to people. Do you need any consulting? And then that consulting turned into a full-time job. So I am very much like, I know I should be more specific, but I kind of like to do the visioning and like how I'll feel when I get it. And then kind of think about the steps along the way. I won't say that that's the best way for sure. But for me, especially the single mom too. I don't want to pressure everyone and say you have to do like every single thing tomorrow. Small steps and consistency, showing up every day and doing little things are so huge. Just like you were talking about with the weight loss difference. You know, work out every day. That was so huge. And just walking 10,000 steps every day. That was so huge. And I did that for like 3 or 4 months, and I'm getting back into that now. So yeah, I think it could be a little bit more specific. I'm thinking about each month, like at work now, I want to be like fully onboarded into my new programs by a certain date. And what does that look like? And I think sometimes using my own project planning skills from my job could be super helpful in terms of setting goals. So yeah, but I think what everyone's saying, especially the board of directors, I've thought about that a lot with networking, and it's super important to have people supporting you.
Yeah.
But and also in my new job, I've had to kind of switch and think about retirement. And I don't know, Gabrielle, I've been really thinking about like Roth IRAs, and I don't know anything about it really, but I'm wondering if you could maybe give me some information or background about it.
Oh, wow. That's the question, definitely the question for the week. We have, I was thinking just like New Year's resolution, what can we do differently on the show? And we decided that we'll do a question of the week. So thank you so much, Dr. Carey, for asking the question of the week. Definitely, we all have different goals, different resolution, but I think definitely when it comes to retirement planning, that's something that we all need to think about. Because when you have the opportunity to work as a youngster with, a younger person, you're working full time, you're running a business, it's very important to think about the future, right? So typically most folks who have a job, they'll have something at work called a 401k, 403b, or some other types of retirement planning. But you just mentioned the Roth, and that's what we're going to be discussing tonight, the Roth and the traditional IRA. So what is an IRA? It's just an individual retirement account. Individual retirement account, meaning like if you as an individual does not especially have a retirement at work, you want to set up an individual retirement account, because anybody who has earned income, meaning like if you have a job, so even a youngster, I know, Vaughn, you have 2 kids, right? Are they making money yet?
They're costing money. They're on the other side.
Not yet. What about you, Gael? Your kids making money yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. You'll be surprised, because I was talking to a friend of mine. Her kids been modeling ever since they were babies. And because they're modeling, they're in the entertainment business, doing a little commercials here and there, they were making money. And because of that, they would be qualified to set up, a retirement for the IRA or some sort of deferred compensation or deferred retirement planning. So if you have earned income, if you are self-employed or have a job, you can have a retirement account called a Roth IRA or a traditional. So there are some differences. For example, this year, if you like to contribute, you can contribute up to $7,000 in either one of them, or combine both together. So if I want to do the Roth, I'll do $7,000 and that's it. If I want to do the Roth and the traditional IRA, then I can divide them however I want to do that. But you have a total of $7,000. Now that's if you're under the age of 50. Okay. If you are older, if you are 50 and older, you have an additional $1,000 you can add. So instead of $7,000, $8,000. So that's a lot. Especially again, if you are working for a job, you are a gig employee, like the people who are driving Uber, Lyft, and those who have, and independent contractors, they have a business, that's all they have, and they don't have a full-time job with another retirement account. You want to set up this, because it's important to have retirement planning, because if you don't have something planned, again, we just talked about resolution, and a couple of weeks ago we talked about planning. Now, in order for you to plan $7,000 to invest in or to fund a Roth or a traditional IRA, you have to work on your budget, where your money at. If you don't have the money in your account, then you cannot get that done. And also I think knowing that a Roth IRA, do you know the difference? Gael, have you heard?
No, I was actually about to ask what maybe some people are thinking what is actually the difference between a 401k and a Roth IRA.
Well, I mean, tonight I'm gonna tell you the difference
And
between the
traditional
Roth and the
IRA.
traditional.
There's
Yeah.
actually three things at stake. Yeah.
Yeah, the traditional and the Roth, because I think the individual IRA stands for individual retirement account. So the Roth IRA, one of the biggest differences between the two is the fact that you do have the opportunity to contribute post-tax, meaning after-tax contribution. You make your money, let's say you're making $100,000 a year, you come home with 70,000 because Uncle Sam and Uncle Charlie, the tax, they take $30,000. You come home with 70,000. Out of that 70,000, you decided to put away 7,000 for your Roth IRA. You cannot deduct that on your tax return as a contribution, because the Roth is after tax contribution. But the good news is, when it's time for you to withdraw your money at retirement, you don't have to pay taxes either. So that's the benefits of having a Roth IRA. Whereas the traditional IRA, that one, if you make a $70,000 and then you contribute $7,000, you get to deduct that from your taxes for the year. And subsequently, you will have to pay taxes when it's time for you to take a withdrawal, take a distribution. Do you want to pay tax now or pay tax later? What were you saying, Gary?
There's no minimum to start either of them?
Yeah, well, there's no minimum, but the maximum, you max at 7,000. And then for if you're under the age of 50, but if you're 50, you can actually add an additional $1,000, and that will help you out. Dr. Carey, did you know that when you have a retirement account, you are required to take some money out depending on after a certain age? Did you know that?
You're required to take some out. Well, I assume that you'll need it, right, when you retire.
Not everybody needs that. Yeah, you assume that you need the money, that's why you require it. It's one thing to be in need of the money. You should be able to take it, right?
I want to take that now.
When it's required.
My father will kill me if
I think it's a trick.
Yeah, it's a trick. Yeah, exactly. With a requirement, they call it required minimum distribution. Now, when you have a retirement account, you are required to take money out. Now, since COVID-19, it's at age 73. So if your parents are 73 and they have a retirement account, you need to say, Mom, Dad, or Grandma, you need to take money from that regular retirement account or that traditional account. But guess what? If you have a Roth IRA, you don't need to take the required minimum distribution, because there's no such thing with a Roth IRA. So with the tradition, because you remember the tax, you haven't paid your taxes, because of that, you're gonna be required to take a minimum required distribution so that you can start paying taxes on that money. Did you want to say something? Yeah.
No, I'm listening. Someone else have a question?
Guy, did you want to say something? Do you have a question, Vaughn?
No, I think
okay.
you said it beautifully.
So I'm glad you asked that question, because again, the key is the time is always now. If you have a New Year's resolution and you said, you know what, I'm worried about my retirement planning and I don't have anything at work, or I have something at work but it's not sufficient, and I think I fall within the bracket, because there's an income limit when it comes to the Roth IRA, and you have to talk to your tax professional to help you with that. There's an income limit, but the limit is very high. Those who are single could contribute you could make up to $146,000 and still be able to contribute to your Roth IRA. So there's an income limit, but the idea of being able to put away at the age $7,000 in addition to what you have at work, $7,000 or $8,000 if you're over 50, it's a great opportunity. And also too, knowing that if you choose either the Roth or the traditional, there are tax consequences. They're different. They're taxed differently. And you'll have to sit down with your tax professional to say, hey, which one would be best for me? And if you're a high income earner, definitely I would say, based on what I've seen, the Roth IRA is for you. If you are a high income earner, meaning like you're the type of person who's making 150 or more a year. But if you are a low income earner, then the traditional IRA might be the best for you. It all depends. Talk to your tax professionals so that they can help you make the right decision for you and your family. And by the way, if you haven't done something for last year, which last year the minimum distribution, the maximum contribution for last year was $6,500 for anybody under the age of 50 and $75 for anybody older than 50. If you have not done anything for 2023, which was last year, you can still do it, because the deadline to contribute to a Roth or a traditional IRA, it's always a tax deadline. So the tax deadline, April 15 or April 17, whenever the tax deadline is, I have to look it up this year. Usually April 15. You can open up an IRA for the year before until that time. So it's basically you have 15 months to make a decision. Yeah.
So when they talk about income limit, is it as a person or they consider the household income?
Yeah, I'm glad. So definitely the income limit is based on your filing status. So if you're single, they tell you, for example, for the Roth IRA, a single person can contribute the max, meaning like up to 7,000 if you are younger than 50, or 8,000 if you're older than 50. If your income is between 146 all the way to close to, 146 to 160,999. So you can contribute the max. But if you're married, guess what? It goes up. It's 230 to 239,999. So yes, they do give you a preference. For those who are married, they understand that your income might be a little bit more as a combined household income. And of course, the limit is up. It's a lot higher than for a single person, of course. But yeah.
Well, that doesn't apply for people. I know people that are married, but they don't file jointly.
Oh yeah, if you file separately, guess what?
Uh-huh.
With the traditional, your income is $10,000. If your income is more than 10,000, you don't get to do it. So you do get penalized when your filing status as a married person is married filed separately. If you're married and you've decided to file separate from your spouse, then you do get penalized in so many ways, because it is what it is. That's the tax. Those are the tax codes. Yeah. Go ahead, Dr. Carey.
No, it's just really interesting. There's just benefits of, filing jointly, separately.
Yeah. Have you ever done one? Who has a Roth IRA here? Have you ever done one or thought about it?
No, but I've heard of it, and I'm definitely going to do one this year.
Yeah. If you have supplemental income from your business, in addition, you have your earned income from work, but you have a gig, you have a side business. That money, if you don't need it to take care of household expenses, you ought to think about seriously putting that away. Again, last week we talked about having a budget to tell your money what to do versus letting your budget, without a budget, your money will tell you what to do. If you want to tell your money what to do, trust me, set up something and have it automatically be debited from your, taken from your checking to your Roth IRA every month or every year or every quarter, however you want to do it. But do it if you are able to do it, because the time is always now. Correct? Were you gonna say something, Vaughn? Vaughn is doing marketing. He's been. I've noticed it.
No.
He's been sending a bunch of texts telling people, "I'm on Let's Talk Money with Friends," log, and they actually watching. A lot of them are watching right now. But yeah,
that's the goal.
Thank you.
So no, definitely great information here that we don't always get. We typically have to pay big money to get this kind of financial advice here. So the question I would ask, because obviously there's a lot of different vehicles, the end goal is retirement, right? We're putting
Correct.
away for retirement. And I think for those, especially if you're, younger, even 30s, 40s, 73 might feel like a very long time away from yourself, right? So
Mhm.
are there things that you would recommend or any tools that you can kind of accomplish both goals while saving for the future, also being able to reap some of those benefits in modern time or in current time?
Well, I mean, there's so many different financial products, and that's why this year we decided that in addition to our topics, we want to take a moment to have these, I have a question have a moment like for the night. Because at the end of the day, there's so many different ways as financial professionals, we've been taught a million other ways to plan for retirement. Gael had asked me about 401k. Maybe next week, that's what we talk about. But tonight we wanted to focus on the Roth IRA and the traditional. Is it the best for everybody? Perhaps not. Because I've sat with families in the past when I was a financial advisor with a prominent financial services company. I would sit down with someone and I looked at the situation and I'll be like, nope, this is not for you. The limit was way too low. These folks needed to contribute $55,000 or $52,000 or maybe $100,000 away for retirement. This wasn't going to help them. So again, there are a plethora of retirement planning opportunities option. Remember, this is an umbrella, and under that umbrella, that Roth IRA and the traditional, you still have so much more to do because under that 7,000 you put in, where you put in that money? How is it working for you? Did you put it under the mattress at the bank? Or did you put it in the market to invest for you? All that will determine at the end of the day at 73 how much money you would have had saved for retirement. So tonight we wanted to give you a little bit of awakening. Oh, I don't have a retirement planning. I don't have anything available at work. Oh, I didn't know I had an option for an individual retirement account. Let me look into this. If you are working, again, we kept saying there are tax consequences. Most people do not have a financial advisor because they cannot afford to pay an advisor. Some of the folks that I talked to this year said that my New Year's resolution is to save more, to be more responsible with my money, but they don't have a financial advisor. They're gonna try to figure it out on their own. But most people don't have an advisor. But I would tell you, everybody who has a job has a tax person that they do taxes with. Be sure that you speak to someone who understands how these type of things work. Because at the end of the day, if you are working with a tax professional who understands how retirement planning works, how retirement planning altogether, how those things work, then they could give you some guidance, not advice, but they could give you some guidance so that which will help you minimize your tax liability for the year, i.e. with the traditional contribution deductible, lower your taxes for the year. And also help you long-term, because if you are able to get a Roth IRA and they tell you about that, yes, immediately you're not gonna get a tax benefit, but long-term, you'll be able to benefit from not having to do a minimum required distribution so your money can stay in your account longer and go longer and perhaps leave it for your kids without having to worry. And also you'll have that fund that you can withdraw at retirement without having to pay taxes. So there's a lot to be said, but I wanted to briefly introduce this because I know it matters. It ought to be part of your resolution for this year. Mr. Vaughn, yes.
Yes. So, as we said earlier, I am in the business of marketing and helping small businesses market, and whether it be through their branding, their logos, their websites, and all sorts. So when I talk to small business owners, oftentimes they're first generation business owners, new entrepreneurs or small entrepreneurs. And the number one constraint on top, obviously they have dreams and they want to do things, but the constraint is oftentimes their budget, right? They're scraping and they're trying to get from, check to check, invoice to invoice, and try to make ends meet. We know cost of living is sky high, inflation is crazy. for us with little ones, daycare costs more than our mortgage rents. So what do you say to folks who are on a limited budget, who barely can cover their, their bills, are deciding between their cell phone and dinner, or occasionally might want to take a vacation, or want to buy their family something nice for Christmas, whatever that thing is? What do you say to the person who doesn't have excess, or doesn't feel like they have excess money to put away when their job pays them less than what they can barely live on, and then you want them to put in more? So how do you help somebody like that?
Again, let's go back to our topic for the night, which is resolution and commitment. When you have resolutions, right, and commitment, you got to do the work. It doesn't get done on its own. And I would say, again, a couple of weeks ago, if someone is wondering, asking the same question, you might want to go and listen to the show that we did a couple of weeks ago about planning. Your 2024 plan matters, because we actually discussed that. We talked about, what if you find yourself in a situation that what you have right now is not even sufficient to cover your current expenses. Well, I mean, in a nutshell, short answer: decrease, increase. You either decrease, get rid of some expenses. You might say, well, I have a mortgage, I have a house, I have kids' education. There's so many things that you're spending money on, right? You have to look at each one of those line items. That's what a business would do, and say, okay, how can I minimize? How can I get rid of those expenses? Or how can I reduce them? You got to do that. And then the increase part, you got to bring in more revenue. If what you bring in is not enough, you got to bring in more. And we had talked about that offline, Vaughn. Either you get a second job or you start a side business, right? For a time, maybe for the next 3-4 years, you might have to do 2 jobs or have a job in a business on the side. Or if your spouse is home, they might have a part-time job. You have to sit down as either by yourself as a person, if you are single, or with your family, and make a decision about what you're gonna do. Because at the end of the day, we all gonna retire. If you live long enough, you're gonna see retirement. And if you're struggling now, can you just imagine what's gonna happen? I got into the industry because when I was 21, I got my first banking job. And that was in Cambridge. That was before Cambridge became so mega expensive. But I remember the clients would come to the bank on the 1st of every month looking for Social Security. And Social Security was never enough. It was never meant to be enough. And it's never going to be enough. So you do have to have some supplemental. And that's why
social what? What is that? I said social what? What is that? No,
yeah, we call it so.
No,
we call it social security because it's a social security. So because of that, you have to do planning. That's why, again, I had written here, I don't know if you guys noticed it in the agenda, it costs to work with the wrong person. It costs to keep on doing your taxes with someone who doesn't know how to help you maximize your tax benefits now and in the future. It will cost you. So the idea of going to someone who can just fill out the forms and not understanding how structuring your income, structuring your finances correctly, so that you can have the type of future that you want, it's not wise. You gotta make sure that you go with the right person who can help you understand. Yes, it's okay. Let's look at your budget. Let's look at your income. How can we help you reduce taxes today by contributing to a retirement account? And if it's not deductible, how can we help you in the future to have extra income so that you don't have to live in destitution? To an account that really maybe not beneficial in terms of tax benefits today, but in the future will be beneficial. So that's what the Roth or the traditional could do for you. So much we can say. I'm very passionate about this. That's why I went to school for this, because I know when I was sitting at the bank in Cambridge, seeing what I was seeing, especially with women, I thought if someone had told them what to do or had encouraged them to stick with a resolution and do something, it would have been great. So my last question, again, going back to resolution, your resolutions and commitment. Resolutions and commitment matter. My very last question for the night, I would like to ask, I know some people are saying, like, just like you mentioned, actually, you just asked the question in terms of like goals that you haven't been able to accomplish. What can we learn from those, and how can we learn from those and move on in terms of not being able to beat ourselves up, but move on and do better? Do you have an idea, Dr. Carey?
Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to get more organized last year, and I got rid of a lot of different things and cleaned a lot of different spaces in my condo, but I still didn't redo my office like I wanted to. And so I really think that chunking the goals into smaller, very, very small pieces, and just really that consistency, that showing up, the one bag thrown away a week, like that whole thing really leads to progress. So I think smaller so they're big goals, and I don't want to push anyone away from it. I just think, like, parents in the thick of it, I don't want you to get down on yourself if you make like smaller goals. Like I do this I created a daily report card, drink water, do something nice for my daughter, either pay a bill or make like a medical phone call that I've been putting off, and I kind of do a checklist. But like just doing those things like compound over time and make me feel like a more productive human. So while I just have that mindset, like I just gotta do better. I think just really showing up and creating strategies like a report card and a board of director, like to hold you accountable. Board of directors to hold you accountable are really, really good things to do.
Gael, is it very important to stop with the procrastination and just get it done? I think you had mentioned the time is always now. Do it now. Don't wait for a New Year's resolution.
Well, not only that, but sometimes there are some goals that you set for yourself. You need to be very drastic. You need to take a decision or start an habit that you've never done before. Then you may want or need to, for example, cut yourself off the rest of the world and uninstall all the social media apps, and people cannot find you. For instance, like 5 years ago, I wanted to go and do a certification about project management. I was living in Haiti at the time. So I decided to leave Haiti, take a plane, and spend 50 days at my house, at my cousin's house in Boston. So all my family and friends stayed in Haiti, so I only studied. My wife did exactly the same thing as well recently for her NCLEX certification. Despite having kids and a household to take care, she rented an Airbnb like for a week where she went to a room by herself to study and pass the exam. So sometimes after you decided about the goal that you have, now following up and taking some drastic measures depending on what type of environment you have, you may never accomplish this goal if you don't get out of this current environment where you are.
Yeah, that's true. I remember years ago when I was going for my MBA, and I said to someone, a friend of mine, we were just friendly. And I said, why don't we go together? She's like, well, I cannot go back to school. And I'm like, why not? Well, I have too many friends. She had other friends who were on the phone with her, chatting, keeping her busy with mundane things and not busy helping her. They were not board of directors, helping her with her own objectives and goals. They were just keeping her busybody, the busybodies, those type of people. I know I've had to delete, get rid of, minimize, get rid of all the stuff that were not helping. So what is your final word, Vaughn, in terms of what does it take to really, the commitment, You know, is it time to, if you don't want those who are around you to kill your dream, you know, it's hard to see the vision board because
No,
you have,
I'm gonna unblur it. I know.
yeah.
That's-
But
So-
yeah, you have to see it, right? To believe it.
yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
see impact, success.
Love
value,
it.
And
oh,
this
I know you're a
happened
great dad.
this
Huh?
happened before he, you know, did that thing.
I was gonna say, I'm like, you're still standing behind me.
Yeah, no. This is, as you can see, I mean, it's
I
old.
know,
This
I
is, he
love
was
that.
actually so and that I don't quite look like that yet, but I'm working on that part. So and I can, you know, if anyone wants to inbox me, we can kind of talk about the vision board. But
Yeah.
you know, there's the one thing a couple of things I would just want to say that there isn't one path or one formula for success, right? There isn't one metrics and one data point. It doesn't mean $1 million. It doesn't mean family. It doesn't mean whatever it is. It's really your choice to define what that means for you. So everyone's goal is different and everyone's timing is different. So I do like the whole idea of breaking it up because sometimes it just might be that one small thing. Maybe I've only lost 5 pounds, but that's the most I've ever lost my whole life. And that's all I need. So, okay, you might have lost 100 or did this complete body transform, but listen, my 5 pounds, I'm eating better, you know, I'm walking a little bit more and I feel happier. That might just be it. But I think the environmental piece, at least for me, is huge. You know, when I was a little younger, you know, I went to a lot of parties and the friends I was around, we all went to parties, right? We all partied, we all, then later, friends started to get married. And then, okay, I also got married. Then people got homes and then I got homes. Your environment tends to, the 5 people around you tend to dictate what you end up doing, right? When you're in college, you have all of your college friends are your friends. So your environment is number one, you know, and I do believe though, sometimes you need to be that role model for the other person. So yes, we always talk about having people who are maybe more advanced and know more, but I think sometimes being that mentor, being that person, that accountability person for the next person, not only are you helping somebody else out, but there's something about teaching that makes you learn twice. It reinforces the thing that you're trying to accomplish. So I can go on and on about this, but environment is all I would say. You almost got to brainwash yourself and immerse yourself around people and things that are in line, that have the same frequency as the things that you want to achieve. And I think that makes life easier. And don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah, Maya Angelou, the famous poet, said that when you know better, you do better, right?
Yeah.
So
no, sometimes but not to cut you off. Sometimes we do know better and we still do bad, right? It isn't only about information. Sometimes it's literally it's an emotional thing. Most of our purchases, you just look around your house. Most of the things you purchased, not because it was logical or you thought it out and it makes sense. It's because you felt like it. That's a wonderful painting behind you of Boston, but that's not a logical thing, right? That has nothing to do. There's no logic that says that painting should be behind you. You felt like it connected and you put it there. And I think, you know, we have to be real with ourselves, right? Because sometimes we kind of tell ourselves these stories that like, you know, that is just not true. You know?
Yeah, but I'm thinking what she meant though was like, you know, don't beat yourself up. Because at the end of the day, if tonight you're watching the show and you're saying like, oh my gosh, I'm always failing when it comes to my resolutions. I start them January 1st and by January 2nd, everything is falling apart. Listen, it's that quick. It can happen that quickly. Because, you know, if you don't have accountability, if you don't have it written down, I kid you not, today is the 3rd, I wasn't going to go to the gym. I was making every excuses in the world, but you know what? I kept looking, exercise daily. And I'm like, I gotta do it because I don't want to be a liar. Of course, when I talk to some of the people who are accountable partners, I want to be able to tell them, yes, I went to the gym today. So, you know, you have to be able to find your people. Like you said, find your village. They say it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village
to raise an adult.
To raise an adult and to be a successful and productive and useful and God knows, living your best life kind of adult. You have to find your own people, but you need to be committed too. And that commitment and discipline comes around, you know, having the right people around you. Keep learning, keep learning, keep learning. Tonight we talked about products that you may not have heard before. But you know, my very best friend is Google. Google them, but again, Google is information, not knowledge. You want someone who's knowledgeable, who can sit down and explain not only what you see, but how can it help you? How is it gonna help you now and in the future? Because we don't want to make short-term decisions based on long-term goals and vice versa. So you gotta sit down with your own people to help you. Find your CEO to help you out.
Can I, a couple more things right before we go. I don't know if you're ending, but I just
No, go
'cause I
ahead.
just feel like whether it's one person listening or 1,000, if one like a couple things, I just feel like I gotta spread the gospel. I feel like Paul Revere coming, the Reds are coming or something. But Google, yes, you mentioned Google, but AI, you know, augmented, like if you're not familiar with AI, it's not just ChatGPT, you know, Mr. IT, you know, Gael knows exactly what I'm talking about. AI needs to be your best friend. And
Yep,
you may say I'm not into
absolutely.
computers, I don't like tech, but AI, if you're alive now and you plan on living for even another minute in this world, you need to become very familiar and very comfortable with AI. They're taking over a lot of different jobs, and it makes everyday life easier. And then two, on top of the savings, and I'm not a financial advisor, so that's a disclaimer, but credit is very important. So as you're putting stuff away, there's only so far you can save where credit can take you 10 times further. So I think along with the savings, credit is super duper important.
Yeah.
And the last thing is, while you're working hard, please find an asset to also put your things away. Yes, savings is great, but something that actually makes you money, where you're not just trading time for money. There's only 24 hours in a day. So Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos has 24 hours, and we all have 24 hours, but we all, you know, our money's a little different. So it's not just hourly, it's making sure you think of things in terms of asset and so those things. But that's all. That's my public service announcement for the day.
Thank you, thank you, Vaughn. You need to come back. Dr. Carey had to leave. We definitely behind. You know, we've gone over time. Thank you to everyone who's watching. We do this. This is a labor of love. We do care about community, and we care about the people who are watching. Let's Talk Money with Friends is a community to us. And if you are watching, you are a member of this community, and we want to make sure that you get all the information that you need. We have, oh boy, we've been doing this for over 3 years, so we have tons of different shows that you can listen to, review, and really that will change and impact your life. So if you don't have a board of director, you don't have a board around you who could help you, definitely reach out to us. We have the shows live. They can definitely help you. Every week we come with a topic. We can talk about everything, but we come with a topic. And that topic tonight was resolutions and your commitment. They matter. You have to be someone who's committed to your resolutions, because if you're not committed to them, next year, this time, we'll be talking about the same thing. But if you need help, you gotta seek the help that you need in order for you to achieve the goals that you want to achieve for 2024, because 2024 is gonna be my best year ever, and I believe it is gonna be your best year ever. Thank you again, Gael. Thank you, Vaughn, and thank you, Dr. Carey, for coming on the show tonight. Have a great night. Bless. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.